Welcome to today's interview, guys. It's with my main man, Kyle, aka JCal, which you guys have probably known from the thumbnail. This guy literally has been trading for around 14 years, making it happen and over 2.3 million funded. He's had over 500k worth of payouts, and I think the most inspiring part of this is his story. You can actually see, yes, he's got a lot of the wins right now, and yes, there's a lot of success to him right now. So, congratulations to him. However, it wasn't always like that. So, and I find these interviews really, really, really enjoyable because we can learn a lot from them. We can understand that they've gone through their own trials and tribulations, and that if we keep pursuing that, maybe one day we can be like them. We can get the levels of withdrawals that they are and live in that financial freedom that they are living currently right now. So I'm really excited about today's video. If you do like it, remember to like, share and subscribe, and most importantly, don't forget to check out our giveaways, where every interview for the rest of August and September we will be doing a giveaway live during the premiere of the interview, and also a question at the end of it where we ask you a few questions of the interview, and then you are able to participate and win in that. So enjoy the interview. What's happening, Kyle? Welcome to the interview. How are you doing today, brother?
I'm great, man. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good. It's good to see you again after London.
Yeah, likewise.
So, just a quick one for the people who don't know your story or haven't seen it. I'm sure quite a few of you have, but there may be a few that haven't. Could you let us a little bit know about you and like your trading journey and just what you can kind of share about you as a specific?
Yeah, so I actually got into trading after I dropped out of college. I had lost one of my parents going into college, like right before I graduated from high school. So I didn't really have the guidance. I mean, I know a lot of people out there probably don't know what they want to do when they get into university, right? Like you're kind of just trying to figure everything out. So I kind of just kept hopping back and forth between majors. Wasn't enjoying school. I went to like a notorious party school. So my grades started suffering. I was focused on partying more than studying. So I ended up dropping out, coming back home, and then when I came back home, I actually met up with a close friend that I've known since kindergarten down the street. He got me into Forex trading. And I think this was back in 2013. I can't remember. I'll have to go back and check when I actually
Yeah.
opened my first account. But yeah, I started trading back then, mostly trading retail. And I was going back and forth between like blowing accounts, taking months off. Like I would blow an account, take like 2 to 3 months off, maybe even 6 months, just not even focused on the markets, kind of just focused on my career. And then, I was kind of like a vicious cycle for a good 4 or 5 years. And then I stumbled upon ICT, started studying his concepts. And then when COVID hit, I stumbled upon FTMO. And yeah, it's been kind of like a rocket ship ever since. So I
So when
started
did you
out with like a
start?
200K. Was that?
Was that like 2013? Like was when you first started? So that's like 10 years ago.
Yeah, yeah. It might have been 2011. I'll have to go back and check like when I actually opened that first Oanda account, but yeah, it was about that time. So
Wow.
yeah, over 10 years now.
And then, like, I guess not to pry in, but I feel like it's kind of a pinnacle in your story, and everyone has their story to share, and everyone has their own journey that they've gone through. But when you say you didn't have that guidance from losing the parents, how did you think that kind of pushed you in, like, or changed the way you kind of went into the major or in trading? Like, what kind of effect that had? I think because you started with that, right? So the first thing I
Yeah.
feel like is like, well, that had an impact, but what kind of impact?
Yeah, so it actually had a major impact because I lost my mother, and my father was not really like a great role model. Like
Yeah.
he kind of just was working. He was just fixing printers, so he was never like a businessman. He didn't take risks like that. He's very conservative with his money, kind of like stingy. Some people would call it. But I didn't have that guidance, so I kind of was trying to figure it out on my own. And then he kind of gave me an ultimatum where I had to go back to school. Otherwise, the money that my mother had left behind, he was just going to keep it. So, if it was like a free ride for me to go back to school, I went back to like a local private school. That way I could focus on my studying and not so much the partying. I would just literally just drive to school, take my classes, and then come back home. Yeah, there's no like socializing or anything but I mean, for the most part, I got back into school because I kind of got hooked on trading. Like I went back to school for business and finance. And when I went back to school, like I thought that me getting into the finance world, like the finance major,
Would help.
yeah, I thought it would help me with my forex trading, but these professors had no clue what was going on there. And like they could teach you
Yes.
about like banking and interest rates, but they couldn't tell you about what the forex market was and how it operated, and like how you can create an edge to make money, right? So that was like a major like eye opener. So when I graduated college, I didn't really have any job prospects. I actually contacted one of my close friends that I've known for a very long time. He actually got me into construction. So I started doing construction admin work, just like accounting, basically. And then eventually he left that first company. He got a job in high-end residential. So then I actually moved over with him. He got me a job at this new company that was doing high-end residential construction, and it was a major eye opener there because I was now working in like a professional setting. I could kind of see how businesses worked and operated, and then I got into like estimating and like budget management. It's like I would get
Right.
a set of blueprints, and I would have to put together the whole budget from start to finish, like all the concrete, the excavation, the exterior, like all the siding and everything, the roofing. The finishes, like the tile, the plumbing fixture, everything. And that kind of like boosted my trading acumen, I guess, in a different way. Like I started seeing numbers like as just basically
numbers.
percentages of just numbers, yeah. And that I think that's one of the biggest advantages I have over somebody that isn't comfortable with those types of large numbers is I'm just so detached from it because I was seeing crazy numbers day in, day out. The guy was spending $200,000 to heat up his driveway so he didn't have to shovel in the wintertime. You know what I mean? And they're spending
Tough
like
life,
20.
right?
Yeah, yeah. No, seriously. Like when you see that type of money, you're like, oh my God. And I think my career came to a turning point where I was like, wow, how do I get to that level where this guy's spending 4 times my annual salary on something that is just like a leisure, it's just a luxury. Like
It's just random as well, like just
it's just
'cause.
extremely random. It's like, all right, well, I'm definitely not making enough money here, and I guess I kind of got like a little bit annoyed by that fact that I felt like I should have been making more money, but I wasn't, and like I kind of pressed into the full-time trading thing, like when I got tired of that. It was like a 7 to 7 rat race, literally. Like I would be in the office at 7 a.m., leave by 7 p.m., no time with the wife. It was taking a toll on mentally and physically, because when you're working those long hours, it's like, how do you even have the energy to go to the gym after, right? I have to have dinner, get ready for bed, do it all over again.
Yeah, I know that feeling. That feels like memory a long time ago, man. It's tough. It's
But it
worth
makes you
though.
hard. Yeah. But it's like a character builder, right?
I agree. And there's quite a few things I just want to hone on as well, and just kind of highlight is that it kind of your tenacity to kind of push all the way through with all of these trials and tribulations, and then going on the fact that like I think this is the biggest thing that I kind of really resonate with you. It's like these people are doing it. It's like why can't like it's kind of frustrating, but also like you just don't understand. You don't understand it, and you just really reminded me of that feeling when Swiss Cottage is like they've got 2 eyes, nose, and a mouth. They're human. They like why are they living such a different life to me? Like why can't I do that? And like you said, it's crazy. Someone's spending 200,000 on heating a driveway. Was you trading the whole like through that working period and get character building? Was you trading completely? Like you said you opened your own account, then you went into estimating and doing all of that. Was you kind of in and out? You said it was a vicious cycle, but did you have any breaks, or was it just a full like failing, learning?
When I was doing like the accounting thing, I was mostly just focused on the career side. Like I would trade a little bit, lose some money, take a break, kind of a vicious cycle like that.
Yeah.
And then I think at one point I put in like $7,500. I lost like half of it like in a week. I took the rest out and then bought my wife's engagement ring. And that was like right before I transitioned into high-end residential. So then when I got into the high-end residential space, like we had our wedding. We had a little bit of money saved up, and then I started slowly getting back into it. And then, I was consistent with it kind of all the way up until COVID. And up until COVID, so it was probably like a 2-year period where I was mostly just strictly focused on studying. And at the time, I didn't know that these funding companies existed. So then when COVID happened, I got a taste of working from home. So in construction, it's like you have to be there for whatever reason. Even though I was estimating and I could have done that job 100% remote, like when they tried to get us back in the office, I felt extremely resentful towards that. I was like, I'm getting my work done at home. I could spend more time at home. Like, how come I can't just maintain this lifestyle, you know? And then I kind of just really pressed into the funding thing. You know, I just assumed like I had the money to take the risk, so I just opened up a business, like an LLC. I opened up a business credit card. I had all the money to pay for all the challenges, but I'm going to expense it all and treat it like a business. Because if you're not separating your finances, like you have no idea what you're spending on challenges, like what your income is, et cetera, et cetera. So even just opening up the LLC for $500, right now you're treating it more seriously than if you were just paying out of your personal account and not treating it that seriously, right? Now I can see how much money I'm spending on challenges. Like I am actually taking this risk to do it, right? But then I kind of like really pressed into it. Like every time I go for a new firm, I'm trying to max allocate at that firm, right? Because to me, it wasn't a whole lot of money to put up to try and get max allocated, and it's just like all you need is that one payout to make all that back.
And you make that money back as well.
Yeah,
right?
and then you just pay off your credit. Yeah.
You get refund as well. And I think treating it like a business, I don't know about you, but that changed everything about trading. I still sometimes obviously still make mistakes and whatnot, but what do you think was like the biggest things when you started treating it as a business that you started changing in your trading, right? Yes, I know you talked about the expenses and stuff, but I find that the approach, like a lot of traders and a lot of people, the approach is different. So what type of approach did you have that just changed when you said it was like a business?
Honestly, just getting comfortable with taking the losses. Because I would see, like, when it came to construction, you're not going to win in every little section, right? If the client has a specific budget for one thing, they'll take a loss in another thing so they have more budget to spend elsewhere. And you kind of have to put yourself in that position. Like, just because I make a bad decision over here doesn't mean that the overall budget or project is blown, right? And that you kind of have to take that into your trading account. Like, just because you make a bad decision doesn't mean you're going to lose the account. Right. I think the time, I mean, my fund in FX is like one of the first firms that did a no time limit thing. So removing that in general gives you such a huge advantage because, I mean, even though the stats don't show it, like people really need to sit down and really think about it. Like you have limitless amount of time. Like why are you just throwing your money away because you're in a rush to get funded? Like it's got to be from some other outside pressure, right? Maybe you're feeling pressure from paying your bills or whatever.
Or making money,
yeah. You have to just remove all the pressure from that and just say it doesn't matter how long it's going to take me. Like I have a goal in mind. Like when I first started studying ICT, I said I want to be a full-time trader in 5 years, and this was before FTMO came around, right? So I think now you can even cut that time span probably in half for most people to go full time in like 2.5, 3 years. I think would be reasonable.
What would be your time frame if you talk about it? So you said 5 years, right? Let's just ignore the start because I feel like a lot of people at the start we kind of like fumbling and trying to figure it out, like you said, a vicious cycle. But then when you said I've had enough, which is a lot of people have that point where it's like I'm going to do this properly. What do you honestly think that time frame is for you?
It's hard to say because for me it took a long time, right? Like it took before I even touched a funded account, I had already been trading for like 6 or 7 years. You know what I mean? So like I can't say. I mean, I think you're just gonna at some point hit a boiling point where you just get tired of where you are in life, and then you got to make that decision. Like I am really gonna start putting in the work, right? Because a lot of people say I'm gonna journal, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that, I'm gonna study. And they just fall off the wagon like halfway through, right? They don't see it through to the end, right? Those like small daily tasks, they do compound over time. You just got to stay consistent with it and like really put in the effort. Because like for so many years, I would say, "Oh, I'm only going to take 2 or 3 trades this week," and then break those rules, and then end up taking 2 or 3 trades in a day, and now all of a sudden I'm just mentally burnt out.
I'm an idiot, yeah. But okay, let me rephrase that question. I think that's a really good point because what you ultimately the whole journey it makes you who you are, so you can't really do that. But let's just say, what was the turning? Like, I think people, and specifically I say men, but just anyone, right? You change when you've either had enough. Like you're just sick and tired of I'm just sick and tired. I'm going to do this now. I know what I need to do. I'm going to do it. I'm going to do whatever it takes. Or the pain hurts enough, or you're excited enough to change. They're the 3 types of changes. So like for you changed, but what was we know obviously you went into doing the consistency and then went into fund and stuff, but what was the thing mentally that be like, I've had enough now. I'm going to fucking do this properly.
Yeah, well, so I actually lost my father as well to cancer. It was, both my parents had passed away to cancer. So it was the time when I lost my father, when I like really, I just you have to take into perspective, like your time is very short on this planet. So like me just sitting around and being okay with the career that I was in. I mean, it was almost like a pressure off my back because I was always trying to prove to him that I could be successful. So right before he passed
Yeah.
away, I had just gotten my first six-figure paying career. So once he passed away, it was like, all right, I've proved that to him. Like it was kind of
Yeah.
like a big relief off my shoulders, and then I
Yeah.
could just really just go out there and just take a risk on myself, right?
Yeah.
Because I
Yeah.
didn't have to prove to anybody that I was like worthy of something. And so I think maybe that's the biggest thing that people should focus on is like stop worrying about what other people are thinking about you and just go and do it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. That's what I say is you versus you and me versus me, right? Like ultimately, and also most winners want you to win because there's more than enough for people to win. But that's powerful though, because I said this to you before. I love you, brother. It's a lot of love for you. You know how it is, man. Like I said, met you in real life, and we're good mates. And I just feel like life is short. You know, life is really short when you said that. Just do you know Usman as well, trading LP? So he
Well, no, I didn't. I didn't know him, but I've heard of him.
yeah, he was a really sound guy, and just even his like kind of really set me off the rails in the sense of just reminds you like anything can happen. That's why we gotta be the best version of ourselves, love and remember the basic things. And training is just part of that journey. You got to enjoy it and don't put too much stress on yourself because your time shall come. It's just everyone has their path and stuff, right?
I think you also need to have like a strong why too, because for me, like maybe I was too focused on myself at the time, right?
Yeah.
And then I got married. It's like, all right,
It's bigger than you.
it's bigger than me, right? And like you have a kid now, right?
Yeah,
and,
yeah,
and it's
yeah.
more than just you trying to get money and flex whatever materialistic thing that you have. It's
Absolutely.
like now I'm trying to set people up in case something happens to me, right? Like because
Yeah.
tomorrow's not guaranteed for me, right? So how do I set my wife up or my family, in a way that if I'm not here tomorrow or next week, like
Yeah.
that they're set for life essentially, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
instead of trying to chase the money, you got to chase a purpose behind it.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. And if I may, just to kind of share with everyone, because we're on this topic too, and I said this to Carl when we were at dinner, is that there's a very, very important exercise that I think if you are really, like, really want to change your life is the 7 steps of why. And I did this with Rich as well, and then you could hear like Rich just really change his perception of everything. And what it is like, okay, you want to make money, okay, cool, so you do why 7 times. It's like, why do you want to make money? Well, I want to be financially free. Okay, why do you want to be financially free? So I can look after my family, look after my parents. Why do you want to look after them? Why can't someone else look after them? Why can't they look after themselves? You could have these questions. Well, it's like, well, because I can do it, or you maybe believe in yourself, or you maybe think that I'm bigger than that. The answer is whatever it is for you subjectively. But normally when you get to the 6th and the 7th why, that's when it becomes painful. Things like, for example, just to kind of put like some vulnerability out there as well. It's like single mum, dad was never there as well, and it's like, I want to be the dad I never had. I also want to give the opportunity to my family so they never have to suffer and go through the pain that I went through. And that pain, when you really experience true pain, and I think you can agree on this as well, you would never wish that pain even across your enemy, because it just cuts and burns that deep. And when you do it for a bigger purpose, that's when you start like, I'm not gonna fuck it up, I'm not gonna tilt, I'm not gonna take that extra trade. Because when you do all of that, you're like, it's all right, I'm the only one that suffers. But when someone else suffers for your mistakes, it feels 10 times worse. When your wife suffers, and that is like an unbearable pain. But do you think like a lot of that you're, because I think obviously your wife is a big inspiration, like a support and a rock for you. Do you think she's a big reason for your why at the moment?
Yeah, absolutely. Like she always knew I was like a struggling trader. She never told me you should quit or whatever. She just said take a break. And it was a couple times that I told her, I was like, hey, look, I lost like $3,000 to $5,000, and that
Sorry.
doesn't feel good when you're like, I mean, it's extremely hard out there. Just as far as the average goes, to save up $3,000 to $5,000 on top of what you're saving for retirement is extremely difficult, right? It's like almost impossible for people that are younger to even buy a home or something like that. So like losing that amount of money in such a short period of time, it's like, most people I think would just be like, you need to quit this. Like you're gambling, right? But having that support system behind you is so important, even if it's not a significant other. If you have just a good network of even traders around you, because even prior to this year, like I didn't really know a lot of traders in person, but building those connections is so important. And I never it's such a self-study thing where you can go out and kind of learn on your own. And most people think it's like me against the market. But no, you could really build a network of solid people that maybe have the same mindset as you, like yourself, like myself,
Yeah.
and just connect with people. And even if we're not trading the same strategies, it's like we have the same mindset. Like we're all trying to move towards the same direction,
Yeah.
right? So even having somebody that, maybe it's not sharing trade ideas, because I have a really good friend in Canada that was kind of just pointing me in the right direction, spiritually, mentally, and physically. Like, yo, you have to get after it. Like, nobody's gonna do the work. You have to have somebody in your corner that's really pushing you. And I think a lot of people that maybe in person that you've known for a really long time,
Right.
they don't want to tell you that because they don't want to hurt your feelings and strain that relationship. But when I had people in my circle that didn't know me personally, that I've never met in person, they got no problem telling you, like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, get after it.
Yeah.
Like,
I love that.
and the biggest thing was, like, I kept telling my friend, I'm going to go full-time trading. I can't wait to go full-time trading. And he's like, what's stopping you right now? And I was like, honestly, nothing really. Like, I had the money saved up.
Good question.
I was like, somewhat profitable, and it was really just me being scared, right? So like that's essentially what it's telling me is like you're just being scared. You're being, a P word, but like
Yeah.
And that kind of was like a big mindset shift where it's like, no, you're right. Like I am scared of doing this, but if I don't take the risk, like what is my life going to look like, 3 years from now? And the big thing was, one day it's just like I almost got in a car accident on my way to the office, and when I get there, my boss was already there. It was like 6 a.m. He was already there, and he was like, I didn't sleep last night. I had cold sweats. So I came to the office, and I'm like, sounds extremely unhealthy, and like that's not the position I want to be in 3 years from now. Like, you're setting the example for me. Like, if I want to be in your shoes 5 years from now,
You gotta wake up in cold sweats.
exactly. I don't want to wake up with cold sweats and go to the office because I feel like I'm pressured that I have to deliver this project, right? So that was like a big eye opener. I was just like, this is not the life that I'm trying to live. Like, I'm just going to take this risk. If it doesn't pan out, I have the skill set to just go back to work. And that's the biggest thing is like have that safety net where you have a skill set, right, outside of trading. Like, I'm not just talking about just a regular retail skill set. Building a skill set takes a long time. Like, I didn't just come into the construction world and just all of a sudden know what I was doing, right?
Yeah.
A lot of people have that naivety where they get out of university and they're like, I'm going to crush it. And when you get into the real world, you don't know what you're doing. You honestly have no idea what you're doing.
Yeah.
So you got to have to just have patience with it and treat trading the same way. It's really like a university setting where you have to spend 4 or 5, 6 years to master it before you're like really proficient at it.
Yeah, I feel like university kind of gives you that false sense of hope that you're worth. Like, I don't know about you, but I feel especially in the UK, they give you this false sense of hope you're worth this. Like, you go to the uni, do a degree, you come out, you're worth 40k, you should be doing this. But it's like, well, really and truly, yes, I know theoretically, but like engineering was what I did. Right, I did masters and got offered PhD for it as well. And then I felt like 40k should be what I'm on a base salary, blah 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 blah. But like, theoretically, yes, but practically, no. Like, I've got no experience managing people. I don't know how to deliver on time. I don't know actually how to go on site and actually manage the client and manage expectation. Everything's a business. I might actually return in an investment on my 40k salary, and all of these kind of expectation is completely different. You've still got a lot of room to learn and a skill and all of that. And I think what you really said was, I think, a really good lesson for a lot of people to learn is like that skill you have to keep mastering and mastering and mastering. It's like Think and Grow Rich, Napoleon Hill. If you do 10 press ups today, you're not going to get a massive chest. You're not going to get in great shape. Free throws, if you do 1,000 today, you're not going to be good. It has to be consistently day in, day out for at least multiple time frames, like a year, 2 years, 3 years, and then everything will click, because you need to go through different experiences. And in this example, trading, different markets, different downturns, a war, recession, thriving market, high inflation, low inflation, different interest rates, and a shift in terms of like economical power. So I think there's a lot of things you have to learn and take time into it, rather than being, I'm going to be a profitable trader in 6 months. It takes
like 6 months is not even a full market cycle, right? So
that's a very good point.
People don't realize like what it's like to trade in a deflationary market, right? I mean, that could be 2 years from now, right? So
that's a good point.
You really are lacking that experience. And like what you were saying when it comes to free throws and stuff, I watched a really great documentary. I can't remember what it is. It might have been an interview with Derrick Rose, but he was talking about Kobe Bryant. Like, when Kobe Bryant came into the league, he was straight raw talent, So every single season, he would just focus on one skill set. Like, he wasn't trying to learn everything all at once. Like, maybe it was one summer he was just focusing on his jump shot, right? Then the next summer was focusing on his footwork. So, like, year over year, he just mastered one skill set instead of trying to master it all. Exactly. Like, what is your training session going to look like if you're taking 10 free throws, 10 jump shots, you know, dribbling a little bit? Like, you're not going to master it. It's just about like the repetition, doing the same thing over and over and over again. Yeah. And trading is very much like that, because I think people underestimate like the skill set that you need to have. Like, you need to understand technicals. You need to understand like seasonality. You got to understand the interest rates, the fundamentals behind it,
all of it,
the psychology, everything. You know, and you can't master that. I don't believe people that say they can master it in under a year. Like, to me, that's just like maybe there's like the anomaly out there that can do it, but that's a very short time frame for you to master all those things, right?
Yeah,
some people go 30 years, they can't master their psychology, right?
Took me 8 years, man, and then you got someone that comes along, it's like, I got it in 6 months. Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, maybe they're the outlier, but
yeah.
If you're gonna basket yourself with everybody else as like the average, like, give yourself some time and not put so much pressure on yourself.
Yeah, that goes on the social media side of front of things as well. It's like, I think it's very difficult because people see like you, right? Like you done like 500,000 in payouts, you did all of this, and they may not directly compare with you because they mean to, but it comes across that. Even I do, right? Sometimes when I first started, and until you can control that emotion, it's very, very like, it can be powerful on you in a positive and negative way. Positive because you know that it's possible. Yes, I can do 500,000 payouts. But then also, when you've just done $100 today, you suddenly feel very insignificant to someone who's just shared like they've done 100K worth of payouts or whatever it is. So it's really important to understand that, like, you know, it took time. Like you said, it took you 1,000 free throws or 1,000 trading sessions, you know, for 8 years, 6 years, however many years consistently before you did that 500,000 and before you did all of that kind of stuff. And then the same thing for me, like, all, you know, we had this conversation. It's just like the businesses that I built off of like, not just trading, but like real estate and all these other investments and stuff, they weren't done just like that. And yes, the lifestyle looks very good because it's Instagram and you want to post highlights, but all the stress and all the trials and tribulations and all the sleepless nights, blood, sweat and tears and cold sweats like your manager, which you go through, that's tough. Everyone has it. Like, you struggle, we also struggle, you know. And it's just reminded me something as well, which I also want to quickly say is, I think you said earlier about like a network, like winners, like people who want to win together. I'm a massive advocate of that as well, because true winners want everyone to win. Like, I want nothing more than like you to win. A lot of love for you and Ben, who I met, like everyone who I met at the event. But in specific, I just think everyone can win. You know what I mean? Like, if you make an extra 100K a month, mate, that's got nothing to do with me. Like, it's not my bank account, but I'm happy because you're making extra money. do you know what I mean? Everyone can win.
I noticed that, I guess the trading niche is a little bit different, right? Because just my network from my career wasn't as powerful as it is right now, because like my direct coworkers were essentially my direct competition. Like, if I wanted to get a promotion,
that's true,
I'm essentially competing with my coworker, right? So like, that network isn't as strong. So like, they don't want to see you win, right? They want to see you win as long as it's not, you know, beating them, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, it's really like surrounding yourself with people maybe that are not in the same space to help you, you know, level up. Because even once you get to the high tiers, like, it's still the same struggles. Like, those people that have crazy wealth, they're still trying to level up. I mean, it's just really just a big game, honestly. Most people just get hit that glass ceiling and then they just stay there, right?
Yeah. Well, so then let's go into like the funded side of things, like what the juicy bit. And even me, like, I want to grill you, Kyle. So first and foremost, how much are you total funded now? Like in
2.2. Yeah.
What was your maximum?
It was 3.2, and then I lost $1 million.
Just like that. Lost $1 million. Yeah. Do you trade challenges? These are kind of like quick fire questions, I guess. Do you trade challenges and live differently?
No, I treat them the same. Like, I really try and, even if there's a time limit, I try and just don't even think about it. right? Like I'm gonna trade the way I trade, regardless of the time limit. And if I pass it within that time frame, then great. You know what I mean? Because the market doesn't care that that you're taking a challenge.
Yes. Oh my God, that's so true. Do you know what? That's so true. Like when
It's
when
just,
I found...
it's a mental. It really is just a mental thing. So, who cares if it's live, if it's demo, if it's a challenge, right? If it's a funded account, the market doesn't care any of those types of accounts. So, I'm just really focused on my actions when I'm participating in the market, regardless whatever it is. Like even if you're trading on a demo, because I know people that they go on a losing streak and then they switch to demo. Like Rodrigo is actually a big proponent of that. Like if you're in a losing streak, just go to demo, but treat it like if you're trading a live account. I think that's a big thing that a lot of people can't. You know, they're not really huge advocates of demo, and I'm not either. But it's how you treat the demo account. Like if you just treat it like a video game and you're just throwing on whatever lot size you want, of course you're not going to learn anything.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But if you treat the demo like as if it was your actual money, like you're going to treat it way differently.
Yeah. I mean, I think so. Going on the losing period, and then I'll come back onto those more funded questions. What do you do for like drawdown losing periods?
Lately I've just been scaling down, but I've
Drop
kind
the
of
risk,
been battling.
right?
Yeah, I've kind of been battling myself between risking 1% and risking 1/4%. Right, because those months where you do risk a 1% and you hit a big month, like you'll kill it. But the months where you go into drawdown, now you're down 2, 3, 4%. Like it takes. I mean, it doesn't take that many trades to get back to break even at 1/4%. Right, because if you're doing a 1 to 3, 1 to 4, right, that 1/4% can make you back 1%. Right, so if you have 2 or 3 good winners in a row, you're already cutting your drawdown in half. Essentially, it's just really just lowering your risk enough to be comfortable to claw back out of that drawdown period is a big thing because most people are trying to martingale their way back to break even, right?
I know a guy called Martingale.
No, yeah, and
Shout out
really,
to
it's really how you manage your mindset during those drawdown periods. For me, the best thing to do, honestly, is take a break from the market.
Yes,
because if you do have a strategy, right, and you go into drawdown, and you're following the strategy, it's not because of the strategy. It's because the market conditions are not prime for you to make that money.
Yeah, and your approach and how you're managing the market. The market might not be in your favor, but the big thing is the personal, individual psychology. Because the break is like the biggest thing that I think I learned this year. I do not take enough breaks. Like I think it's because, like you said, from the corporate, like I was wired to work 16 hours, 18 hours, and trading, you can't do that. Like you gotta just trade more. The market's still the same. If you take extra trades, it's not going to help. And that hedge fund guy, I think I don't know if I told you about that, which was the guy who made 10 million in a month, right? And he manages a hedge fund in where is it, Budapest, and he owns one of the largest hedge funds out there. And he was saying that they force you to take a break in drawdown periods. They force you to take a 3-week break, and then also in a winning period, they force you to take a 3-week break as well, to go on holiday so that you're reset. Because otherwise, if you keep trading, you're overconfident. If you're losing, you could potentially even lose the account and spiral even more. It's really important to reset, and I don't reset enough. Like I just trade here and there. I don't actually block off periods to have resets. Only time I did was when my son was born, and then when my daughter's coming, I'm planning to take 2-3 weeks off again from trading. But I think moving forward, for sure, I want to take more trading breaks. I don't know if that will make me more money, but I know it will make me, I don't know, happier, but I'd say more at peace with trading.
Yeah. And like for me, I mean, I don't know what it's like in the UK, but the US has tons of holidays. So we just, whenever I have like a major holiday, I'll just go camping with the wife, right? There's no cell service. We just go to a nice place and just
Nice
be
detox.
in nature. Yeah, and just reset. Because then you're not thinking about anything other than being in nature and just hanging around good company, eating good food, right? And those periods are so important, even if it's like once a month or once every two months, whatever it is. Yeah, you definitely need to try and find some time to reset. Because I know a lot of people, when they're out there just blowing their accounts, right? Like they're just on autopilot. Like they have to get that next account. And like you really
You're
don't
just in
have
there
to,
camping.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Like it's not if you're not performing the way you want to, just reloading on new accounts is not going to fix your performance.
Yeah. It's true. Insanity is basically doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results, right? So going on the funded side of things, right? So your 2.3 million roughly funded. Now, what's your next like goal now? Are you going to try and get another million again, slowly, challenges? Like what's the next steps for you?
Yeah, I mean, like my end goal is always to try and Well, really, I want to build a more legit track record, and that's the biggest thing for me right now is building a long enough track record. Because if you're trying to get funded with institutional money, like at a hedge fund or at a real prop
Yeah,
firm,
that's a
you
lot of
have to
money
have
there.
like a track record that's like 12 to 24 months long. You can't just have a 2 month period where just hitting it, and then the next month you're just blowing it. Like you were saying with the hedge fund guy, right? They're
Yeah.
taking a 3 week break. Like most people don't, they can't comprehend that. Like 3 weeks
Yeah.
for them is like an eternity,
Yeah,
right? But
yeah, yeah.
in a world where you're really focused on a long track record. I'm trying to build that up. Right now, I just hit the scaling plan at my fund at FX.
Yeah.
So really, I want to just keep finding ways to keep scaling up and trade that account as I guess as responsibly as I can.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's only so many of these new prop firms that I'm willing to put my money into,
Yeah.
unless they start building a better reputation, right?
Yeah. Because they're coming up
Because
everywhere
popping
at
up
the
left
moment.
and right, exactly, right.
It's
And
crazy.
a lot of times you don't know who the CEO is. They're not very active on socials, so you
Yeah.
really have to be careful of like who you're trusting with your money.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest thing about my funded FX was the no time limit. I think has been the biggest thing. You mentioned that a lot at the moment, but when I first started funded challenges, the time limit did have a pressure on me until I was like, I don't care now. I literally just don't give a crap. Whatever happens, happens. That's when I started to make a bigger dent into trading. It's just like whatever. Because to be honest, the second phase is really easy because you get double the time and half the target. So there's no rush. But when I first started, I was like, I got to pass it quick. Try and pass that in 2 weeks or something like that. But the no time limit has been a big key. And then when you said the CEO, that's another big thing as well, which is why I was kind of drawn to like my funded FX. Like Matt was so different from the traditional CEOs of like funded companies, right? Super transparent, sharing information that I generally think is not that much of a big deal, but for some reason a lot of people wanted to hide that information as such. But with my funded FX, how's like when did you get the because you did the max allocation straight away 300k?
Yeah. So
When did
I
you
got
start?
max funded with them. I can't. Maybe it might have been like January.
Yeah.
Got a couple payouts, or maybe got one payout. Blew that account, and then this one recent that I've just been trading for the last like 4 months, I think, since May or sorry March. Yeah, I've gotten like 8 payouts, I think, so far.
Wow. Yeah.
But yeah,
sick.
usually, I mean, it's a little bit less risk. Like I think I'm up. I mean, it's up 15%, I think, since March, which is like pretty good.
Still a lot. That's still a lot of money, man. Because you've
Yeah,
had like,
yeah.
what's the total amount of payouts you've had with my fund FX so far? Like 30 something?
I think 8 or 9. Yeah. So not. I mean, it's more one of the recent ones that I've joined. Because when they first came out, I didn't sign up right away. I was kind of
wanna
watching
wait
what
and
they were
see.
doing. Yeah.
Same.
So as you guys heard, Kyle was saying, no time limit is such a big thing, and that's one of the things that my funded FX ended up leading. Now FTMO, TFT, and my Forex funds all ended up following us and doing the no time limit as well. So if you do want to start your challenge, link in the description below for up to 10% off of your challenge. And if you do want to support us and support me, link in the description to go and start your challenge now.
Another thing I wanted to quickly bounce with, just like off of, I guess, in the interview, but something you were saying about the risk. I don't know what you think of it, but you said it and I wanted to reply back was the risk that you have like 0.25 and you're toying with the idea of 1%. I have that problem, but I feel like shoulda, woulda, coulda. Like you can make more, but so what? So even if you made more on that month, it doesn't really, because you're doing okay already, it doesn't really change too much. But if you do bad and poorly and you lose the accounts, that's actually more painful than making more money, in my
Yeah,
opinion.
that's what I'm trying to get at. Is like it's more painful going through those drawdown periods than if you're just doing 0.25%, because now you're at risk of blowing the accounts.
Yes.
Right, because
Which
when you're
I
doing
wanna
1%,
avoid.
yeah. When the
Yeah.
higher risk you go, your risk of ruin increases, right? So your mental should probably your mental capacity to handle that drawdown is definitely a lot. It's got to be a lot higher.
Yeah, 100%. So I think like, yeah, I mean that's a really, really good takeaway.
I mean, just like averaging it over time, right? Like last year, I would have one big month and then not get a payout for like a month and a half, right? Whereas if I'm doing lower risk, maybe I have more consistent payouts. So average over time, it's almost the same thing. But it's now I can protect
Less
my
on the
mental
mind.
capital. Yeah, it's less on the mind, right?
That's the thing. That's definitely.
I want to just find ways to
dilemma.
add more capital to my pool.
Yeah. Do you link them all? I know this, but you link them all at the moment, don't you?
Yeah.
Have you
And
thought
it's
about
interesting though
splitting
because
it?
all the payouts they're all staggered now. So it's almost like I'm trading them separately because I'm waiting for some payouts and then
So you
some
gotta pause
accounts are
it
being
and then-
traded. Yeah, exactly. Until I mean, I'm VIP now with my funded my forex funds. I
Yeah.
don't know if there's a VIP. Is there a VIP program for my funded FX or no?
Yeah. I think there's the VIP program goes up to 92.5% payouts and the same day withdrawals and that kind of stuff. But they're going to
Okay,
increase
I
that
might actually
moving
be
forward.
eligible for it. I have to double check.
Yeah, and they're
Yeah, but
increasing
having
it
the
as
same
well.
day payouts. I mean, really, yeah, I'm probably gonna end up trading all the accounts the same way, 1/4% across all of them. Because that was my plan initially when I had the $3.2 million.
Yeah.
The 1 million was at Surge Trader, which I think was like $7,500. I lost that, and
Oh.
it was just like, ah, man, that sucks.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I'm back down to 2.2, and it's kind of been up and down where I've lost some accounts, gone down to like 1.7, back up to 2.2, down to like 1.5, and it's just like that emotional volatility I don't like doing. Like I don't like taking challenges in general,
Yeah,
even
me
if
neither.
even if I treat
Stress.
it, yeah, it is stressful, right? Even if I don't need the money, like I can afford to pay for another challenge, just going through that mental stress is not worth it.
I prefer live all day, every day. I know some people can't do live as well, but live is so easy because I don't care. But challenges skew me and it messes me in a different way. That's why I'm thinking like that's why I was sitting on 600k for so long. But I'm like, I need to up the game and hit 1 million, 2 million. Not just because everyone else is doing it as well, but it's just thinking I need to scale this opportunity and not be too comfortable with this. Yes, I'm making X amount of money and it's decent amount of money, but I need to be pushing and growing more. I know I'm growing well on the other side of things, but I can't neglect trading because trading has always been my like it's always going to be you because
Yeah.
business is people piss you off, but trading is just you.
Exactly. Yeah,
If you have
exactly.
trading, you can tell people to
Yeah.
fuck off. That's the best thing. That's why I
No,
love
hear
trading.
you. But I mean, there are two sides of the coin, right? Like you could trade that 600k on the 1%, right? And if you lose the account, just get another 600k.
Yeah. I mean, like I said to you when we had dinner, did quite a good amount. Yeah, I'm doing them now, and like part of me is thinking about increasing the risk on those challenges because of the time. Because the thing about it for me, it's like time, risk to reward. I'm trying to figure all these things out. So there's a ton of arguments. So let me hear what you think. Okay, so if I trade the challenges normally, then ultimately I'm trading professionally is trading them normally as and when, right? And if it passes, it passes. If it doesn't, it doesn't. And I know that's what you do, but that's cool. But it's longer. Got to monitor it, and also the anxiety of social trader tools because they cost me 5k plus a live account in the past. So I'm always constantly watching it now. But you live and you learn. But I can just do challenges in bulk, which I've seen a lot of people do and also do. Because at the end of the day, yes, it's not trading. Yes, it's higher risk, but it's more of a business. If I pass it, say I do, I don't know, 1.2 million and I pass 600k because I'm doing it at a higher risk and passing it, at least that's done from a business model that makes more sense. But from a trading perspective, it kind of fucks you in the long run because you pass it quicker than you should have, and you're doing it's the same trades, it's still the same A plus setup trades, right? It's just you're doing way higher risk for a higher reward. But you don't waste your time on it. It's only $500 or $1,000 or whatever it is, and you get funded. And then once it's done, you reset yourself and then trade all of these live funded. What is your? I know what you do, but like
I
if
think
you
it's
say
just like trading where there's like 1,000 ways to skin a cat, right? Because I was on
Cool.
a podcast
Yeah.
with Omar Agag, and he said he has a friend that does like 4.5% on the challenges because he doesn't want to waste the time to sit through all that time period of trying to get funded. Like my perspective, I've always done like 1% on both phases. Even though it might take me a little longer, like it doesn't take a
Yeah.
whole lot of trades to pass them all. And yeah, like I do bulk challenges. Like at Funded Engineer, I have the 500k, the max allocation that I'm going through. It's in drawdown right now, and I'm not in a rush to get out of drawdown. And that's the thing is, I guess it depends on how much you value your time, right? Because if you need that 500k, then you're probably not. I mean, if you have the money to pay for more challenges, it's probably not the best to take as long as you can to pass them, right?
Yeah,
Because I've
that's
had those
how
challenges
I
for
feel.
like I've had those challenges for like a month and a half, 2 months, and some people would probably be like, "Oh, I'm wasting all this time." and
Yeah,
I'm not
I'd shoot
funded yet,"
myself.
right? Yeah, exactly. So I think it all comes down to like what your personality is and how much I guess tolerance you have towards wasting that time, right? Like it depends on how much that money means to you, right? Like
Yeah,
if
that's a
you
good
can
point.
pay for the 500k challenges, right? Maybe it's like $2,500. If you can afford to lose that, right?
Whatever.
Then just I would say just try and pass it as fast as you can because that period where you're like just in drawdown and it's not really going anywhere where I'm at right now. Like I'm like -5% on my phase 2.
Yeah,
It's
it's
like
long.
I got myself into trouble. Now I'm like
Yeah.
stuck with it. It's like,
Yeah.
all right, do I just start risking 1% again to get back to break even, or do I take it slow and like maybe
Do you have
produce
a
some
time
YouTube
limit?
content from it, like show people how I get out of drawdown.
Yeah, that's actually a really, really good content, and that's true, and that's transparency, right? Do they have time limit?
No, there's no time limit there.
Yeah, a lot of people are doing no time limit now, which is so good. Even TFT don't do no time limit now as well, right? They followed suit, which is good. I think it's really, really, really good. Yeah, I think it was good. I think it's I think what you said is literally what I was thinking as well, and what the conversations were. It's like, if $1,000 or whatever it is whatever, and just pass it and get it done. It's done. And then I was starting to think, once I'm 1.5 million, I can do exactly the same as what I'm doing now. Take it easy, chill, just focus on
Yeah, that's the thing is
withdrawals.
you can go hyper aggressive on challenges to try and pass them, get the capital, and then deleverage as much as you
That's
can.
it,
Right?
and consistent. Yeah, because there's definitely, I think that's the best part of your story, and what I think if people had to choose and do it, is yours is way, I wouldn't say better, like you said, 1,000 way to skin a cat, but I think it's more, makes more sense professionally because it's consistency. And because obviously the situation of me is a lot different, right? Because I'm like, the last thing I want to do is have in the back of my mind think about a challenge when I've got 4 property developments to sort out. Do you know what I mean? I'm like,
Yeah, yeah.
forget this challenge, man. I'm either
yeah.
passing it or whatever. I just want real money. And also, I come from a live trading background, so I was trading my own capital for many, many years before funded anyway. So it was a big humbling journey from last year. So going back on that, this reminded me on the next question I wanted to ask you. Have you got like a personal account that you're building?
Yeah. I mean, it's a small account. I mean, I guess by my standards, it's a small account, but
Yeah. And then, but do you fund that in every month? Like, what's the
no,
kind of
no.
process
Like
to
I'm.
build?
I guess the thing is, now that we have like a decent amount of money, I'm still trying to balance out how much money I need to have in my bank account to have like that safety net and feel comfortable.
Yeah.
And maybe we have too much money in the bank, but me and my wife are trying to figure that out too, you know? So it's like, I don't want to put too much into the trading account and then not have enough for my expenses or whatever. Because you do want to have like a decent enough safety net. It's just like, how do I go all about it, you know? Because it's really only been like a year and a half that I've been full-time trading. So I'm trying to figure out my tax situation, not realizing like how much money I'm putting towards taxes. It's like mind-blowing.
It's painful, isn't it? It's so
Jesus
painful.
Christ.
It's 40% in the UK, so you're paying similar, I think, 30
Yeah.
something. It's just money it's not down the drain, I guess, because it's the life we live, but it's expensive.
It is expensive, right? And like, what's stopping you from just leaving and going to like, I guess, you know,
Dubai.
buying a farm somewhere, yeah, or Dubai, whatever it is. Yeah,
But then,
like that's what I mean. Like, you can't compare how much I'm making where I'm at because the cost of living is so high. It's
That's
like,
true.
yeah, I need to get X amount of capital to make this, because if I'm not doing double what I used to make at my job, then the full-time trading thing is really probably not even worth it, right? Like, if I'm going to put this much effort and this much time into something, it's got to pay out, because I have to sustain this lifestyle, not just for me, for my wife, and then building right that nest egg for my family.
Yeah, for the future and stuff. And I think that's really important as well. It's like, try not to compare too much, everyone. It's just like it goes back, you versus you, me versus me. I love that. It's just a couple of $1,000 is a lot of money per month. It really is, no matter where you are in the world. And also in some countries, that's a load of money. A load of money. I went to, same thing, I went to Thailand, right? And things were just so cheap. You could live like a king for like $3,000 a month. So, but the cost of living, say New York or even London, or even,
Yeah, it's not even covering your rent, you know?
Yeah, $3,000 your rent, you're living in a shoebox room. So
and that's why it's so. I think that's why it's so hard for people, is because they got to pay their rent. They maybe have student loans. They're living a lifestyle that they probably can't afford. Right? They're going out more than they should be. It's hard to save money on top of that, because and then they're also being, I guess, brainwashed into putting more into their retirement. Right? I never believed in that, because it's like, I don't want to wait 40 years to access my money. Right?
Or 40
Like, I
years
have
to enjoy your life. Like, I
Exactly.
never believed that.
I think it's a huge scam. Instead of
Scam,
putting
that's our favorite
instead of putting your money into that retirement account, imagine how much you could do if you took that 10-15% you were saving and putting it into a business and betting on yourself. Right? Because that's such like an autopilot thing to do, is just put that money in there, not think
Come
about
on,
it.
Kyle. Spitting facts now. Put it on betting on yourself. I love that.
You have
That
to,
is-
man. You have to.
That is the case. Let's go on. So let's start wrapping this up, because I don't want to take too much of your time. And but let's go through some, I guess, value. So if you were to, let's say, condense your trading journey, I know it's a difficult question, because obviously your journey is your journey, but what would you have done differently, or what would you tell the younger Kyle so you can get there quicker?
I think consistency is the big thing. because again, when I said a lot of people are saying they're going to journal and not doing it, like I was that guy, right? Like I was that guy for years, treating it like a hobby because the access to markets is so it's so gamified, right? It's almost like sports game. It's so like sports gambling where you just log in and be like, oh, I'm going to take a trade here, and you're not treating it seriously. So having consistency, doing the right things is so important. Like journaling, sticking to your strategy is the biggest thing. Like having a strategy in the first place is one thing, but sticking to it is another, right? If I say I'm not going to trade today, I better not trade today, right? That's the biggest thing is have consistency. Just stick to your word.
Stick
like
to
if
your
you're
word.
gonna do, if you're gonna do something, just stick to it. It doesn't have
Incredibly hard though.
It is. It is incredibly hard. You don't have to be a maniac where you're doing it every single day like a robot, right? Like I have some days where I just piss off and do nothing, right, for the whole day, but I've already compounded all that work that I've done consistently for a long period of time. Like, yeah, you should have a break. Like, you can't just grind 30 days out of the month and just feel okay at the end of it. Right? You gotta have some time to take some breaks because you can't just you're gonna burn out that way. And I think that's a big thing is balancing consistency with burnout.
Yeah, and then what would it be? Okay, so consistency and then do what you said you would. So like, I think that's really really powerful for the younger you. But then what about, let's just say, someone who's getting into funded, they're in that kind of, let's say, break even period or even losing period. Other than consistency in journaling and stuff, so say some tools, right? Just to give you an example, what I like to say is have your journal like Edge One Code Trade Zeller, then you can actually review that and then try and improve your edge. For example, at 8 o'clock you've lost 8 grand over the past 2 months, then stop trading at 8 o'clock. Then you keep improving this edge and you remove these R's and things like that. What are some of the things and some of the refinements, or even psychology, if it may be, like journaling, writing down? What are some of the refinements that you would can give to some people who can take action on right now?
Yeah, so I guess my biggest advice for people that are break even is understanding why you're break even. Like for me, it was always holding on to trades for too long, right, without taking anything off. Even if you're reducing your risk or cutting and taking partials, like that's a major step in the right direction where now you're going from break even to profitable, right? So like let's say if you're just a break even trader and on your winning trades, right, on the trades that move in your favor, you don't take anything off and it comes back and stops you out of break even. Well, if you just take a little bit off, even if it's 25% of the position off, now all of a sudden you are not a break even trader, right? So that's a step in the major step in the right. Yeah, it's just a major step in the right direction. It's just I talked about this with Rodrigo on Riz's podcast. Is I don't know if you've read the book Mental Game of Trading by Jared Tendler.
Yeah.
So he talks about C game, B game, and A game.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
and if you focus on your C game, again, the things that you're doing the worst, naturally your A game is going to improve. So if I'm really bad at over trading, if I just cut that out, all of a sudden I move closer and closer towards my A game.
Yeah.
Right. And that's kind of how you have to view like what's holding you back, what's keeping you at break even, and making those improvements, like small tweaks at a time. Right. Because now my trading strategy is it's pretty much in place. It's just I'm making small tweaks here and there. I'm not trying to reinvent the wheel now.
Yeah. Did you know that book? Did you do one of the things is that book taught me to do daily report cards. Do you do that?
Yeah. I mean, I was doing it. I was doing it more often than I am now. Just because I have like a mental tally in my head of how I'm operating. So I think once you get further down the line, you don't need a journal as much, in my opinion.
Do you think?
But initially, you should. Right. I mean, now I don't journal as much as I used to. Like, I just have an idea of how the day went, and I know what puts me in an A game state. So all I have to do is repeat that, right? So at some point, I don't need to think about it as much. It becomes natural, right? Like if Kobe's like journaling on how he's operating, how he's doing in this game or that game, and he's trying to improve, right? Like, and he makes those small tweaks. At some point, it just becomes natural to him to operate always in that A game headspace, right?
Yeah. For me, I feel like I've gone back. Well, I wouldn't say gone backwards, but I think it's because I have so much on the go. Because now trading is not my sole thing. If I don't journal, I don't do my daily report card, and I don't reflect, my trading is nowhere near as good right now. I did get to a period like what you said. I think maybe a couple of years back, just in the COVID period, I was just trading automatically. I knew how to refine because every single day I was reviewing, and that trading was my only thing. I didn't have as much going on. I had property and all that stuff, but it was a much smaller scale. But I think right now, like when I don't do a daily report card, it doesn't affect it that much. It makes a huge effect on my trading recently, I feel like.
That makes sense, because you're not thinking about it as much, right? Because you have these other businesses going on, so it's kind of forcing you to go back and reflect, right? If I'm just full-time trading, I'm thinking about it all the time, right?
Yeah. That's true. That's really true. And then I guess one final question is, what's your trading day like? I was interested.
Yeah. Honestly, my trading day is really boring, and I think a lot of people, if they have a goal of becoming a full-time trader, they're gonna realize very quickly, like,
shatter the dreams.
You're gonna get really bored. So, I usually wake up at 6:30, 6:15. Have a coffee. I'll sit down in front of my charts. Usually, my evening analysis happens the night before, so. All right, 7, 8 p.m. right before bed, I'll sit down, mark on my charts. It doesn't take a whole lot of time. It's like 20, 30 minutes maybe at most. Yeah. Then when I come into the charts in the morning, I have an idea of how I want to participate. If I do, I'll trade from like 7 to 11, and then the rest of the day, either I'm working on another business, brainstorming. I have, education service that I'm, active in the Discord. But other than that, just trying to fill the rest of my day with things that are productive, and then I'll hit the gym around 6:30 when the wife is off work. I try to do the AM session gym routine. I'm just not a morning person.
Yeah, me too, man. I just can't do it.
It's like
I'm so sleepy and slow.
CrossFit is such a high intensity workout too. It's like when I got to the charts, like I was doing the 5 a.m. gym session. So when I got to the charts by like 7:30, I was crashing hard.
Yeah, me too.
So
me
it was
too,
hard
man.
for me to focus. Yeah, so you kind of have to figure out what that routine is going to be like for you, right? And then I'll journal around like 5 p.m. right before the gym.
Yeah, I like and I find that going to the gym later in the day is anything in the day that's pissed me off or fucked me up. Gym helps me reset for sure. What happens after 11? Like if there's no trades after 11, you just don't trade that day.
Yeah, I just don't trade that day.
That's
either
easy.
I'm reading or doing stuff around the house. Keeping myself busy.
Yeah, I love that. Cool. So, how was final thing? I said final question. I guess I want to hold you forever. This interview is gonna be 10 hours. It's gonna be Kyle just scamming each other at a time. Well, how you've been finding My Funded FX so far, and I guess would you recommend it? And just an overall summary quickly.
I mean, overall it's been great, man. Their dashboard and everything is great. The payouts have been really fast. The parameters are probably some of the best in the game because they were like the pioneers of no time limit. So I just wish that, I hope that they increase the capital allocation for the 2-phase to 600K. That'd be nice, at some point. Because right now it's 300 and 300.
Do you have the 1-phase?
No, I don't have the 1-phase.
Don't want to do it?
No, I don't think so.
Yeah.
It's just the fact that I have to create a buffer before I take that money out, right? I think there was like a whole Twitter thread about it. Somebody was angry that they took out their profits and then they didn't give themselves enough of a buffer, so the next trade they automatically blew the account. So you got to read the rules and make sure like that's what you want to go for, right?
I'm the same with that. 2-step is just easier because you already know your hard static stop and you don't have to keep figuring out the trade.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
Yeah. Well, wicked. So thanks for your time, mate. If people want to find you, where can they find you? What's the best way to message you? Instagram, Twitter, or YouTube?
I'm more active on Twitter, so JadeCapFX across all socials: Instagram, YouTube, Twitter.
Got it. And we'll put that in the link in the description. So thanks for your time, brother. Love you lots. I'm sure everyone's going to really enjoy this. I do appreciate your time. I'm proud of what you're doing. I know that we've only met a few times, but I'm super proud of what you're doing and excited to be part of your journey, hopefully moving forward. And we'll see you in the next one coming forward in the future.
All right. Thanks, brother. Take it easy.
Peace.
Alright guys, I hope you guys enjoyed that interview. What an amazing journey that Kyle has been through. What are some of the things that you have learned and that's inspiring for you? Now, as you've watched all the way, I think you guys deserve to have a heads up on the giveaway. So in this one, we're going to give away 5 $50,000 challenges. That's right, 5 $50,000 challenges. All you have to do is, well, number one, watch the whole video, which you guys have done. And number two, comment below, what is the number one thing that you have learned from this interview with Kyle? Now, I don't want to just, make more money. It has to be something that's passionate. What are you going to do and what are you going to do about it? So one thing you've learned and what are you going to do about it? That's one answer that I want you to have. We'll pick the winner within 7 days and then we'll announce it in Twitter and Discord. So make sure you subscribe to us on YouTube, Discord and Twitter, so we'll announce it along those as well and on the community tab. So don't worry, if you won, you will know. And last but not least, if you want to get ahead with your challenge, link in the description below with the WChamp FX for 10% off of your challenge and get started now and get funded and get inspired. So see you in the next video, guys. Champ out. Peace.